me.
It is all you, my friend.
Okay, let me just pull this up. I restarted the computer and I think that's how it let me back in. So let me just pull up my slides here.
Okay.
All right. And everybody can see the screen okay?
Yes.
Cool. Let me move this over here. All right. So this is starting and growing your business. So some of you, if not all of you, were in the last class that I had given where we were really discussing, right? Think about what your business could look like, right? So now this is the official class where we are going to be really diving into growing those ideas or that business. So if you don't remember, my name is Pedro Alvarez, and I am the Director of Operations at Lucero Consulting. Aside from that, I also am an instructor where I do host many workshops and classes like this, and I also am a business consultant. If for whatever reason you have a question that comes to mind after this session or this class, please feel free to jot down my information and just send me an email. I'd be more than happy to have any conversations that you want to have about your business. So what I would like to do is I'd like to go around and I'd like everybody to tell me your name, your business name, and industry, and then what your goal is for this class. Okay? So let's start. Where's my list of people?
I'll go first.
Perfect.
My name is Rafe Barber. My business name is Stronghold Framing LLC. My goal for this class is to hopefully get a better understanding of how to make the changeover from a social media like, hey, I can do this kind of work for you, to a actual legitimate company.
Okay. Perfect.
And Nathan, I think you're next.
Yeah, hi. Okay. It was the business name and what you hope to achieve from the class. Sorry.
Yeah, so your name, your business name, the industry you're in, and then your goal for the class.
My name's Nathan. The business name that I think we've established is going to be Pohaku and Son. We're in the food and beverage industry, and what I hope to get out of this class is just to kind of learn a little bit more that I don't, as well as make sure that we're on the right track to open and start business when we'd like to.
Awesome. Perfect. Looks like Jessica had her hand raised.
Hello, my name is Jessica, and my business name is Let Jess Cook For You. My goal for this class is to learn how to get an LLC for my business because I am completely lost on how to do that.
Okay. And we will definitely be discussing that a little bit later today. So
Thank you.
yeah. Let's see who's next. Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Cummins. Our business name is State 48 Thrift. It's going to be a retail industry. And my goal for the class is to learn how to take nothing to something.
Okay. All right. Who else?
This is Jeremy. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes. We can hear you.
Great. My name is Jeremy. My business name is Don't Sleep Productions. In the education and sort of gaming industry hybrid to create an educational learning center for digital arts and gaming. And what I'm hoping to get from this class is the direction, mentorship, and support. Just short of my learning curve, get that funding and make sure I have all my I's dotted and T's crossed so I go in and I can be successful out of there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Joanna.
If I could get the mute to work. Hi, my name's Joanna. I don't have a business name currently. I mean, I have my old business. But I am working on some children's books. And my goal for the class is to learn different things that I need to do for my other business that I have not closed or done anything with.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Who else? Antonio.
Hi, my name is Antonio Esprit Bay. The name of the business that I have chosen is Windows of Healthy Solutions. In the industry of looking into developing innovative content. The goals for this class is to be able to learn how to establish myself as an LLC, trademarking, copywriting, and registering my merchandise and everything that goes with it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, Donna.
Yeah, my name is Donna Mayfield. My industry is web design, specifically an e-commerce agency. I haven't named my business yet. And my goal for the class is to get an idea of my budget to get things started and to understand LLC and nonprofit structures.
Perfect. And we will definitely be covering all of that throughout this course. So perfect.
I'll go
All
ahead
right,
and
Jason.
Yeah, my name's Jason. I currently own Streak Free AZ Window Cleaning. My goal in this session is to actually learn how to put out content via podcast or somehow on the internet that gives me the opportunity to share my story of the window cleaning and recovery and how communication is key and whatnot. So that's what I'm working on this time. To get out of this class is just a little more focus, I guess, this time, and trying to build it from the floor instead of from my brain.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, who else?
My name is Dylan Kashansky. I haven't registered my company name yet or trademarked it. I'm working on that right now. I have to start an LLC. I need to find out to get my contractor's license back. I'm not sure, since my felony record, the rules on that, the recent ones, I know, like, I just need to find out what keeps you from being able to be a registered contractor, if there's any rules against that. And just getting my company back on its feet. I ran one for a long time. I have a lot of experience in what I do in the landscape design and new construction, and basically just a complete outdoor construction field. I also have other ideas for companies. I never limit myself to just one thing. I've got a few ideas to go, but yeah, I'm just getting my feet back in the pool, I guess.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the platform.
All right. So it looks like quite a few have shared. Thank you for sharing and telling us what it is that you do. Why is this important? It's because it's to get you comfortable to really understand or have a better understanding of what it is that you're trying to sell, and so that others also know what it is that you're trying to sell, whether it's a product or a service. And then, of course, right, depending on what your pitch is or what you're saying, then that way you can perfect that. So you are going to be with us for 7 sessions, right? So 7 weeks. So this is the agenda. This is what it looks like. Class 1 is today. It's not the most exciting, compared to marketing or really understanding your numbers or anything like that, but it is important to know. Today's class really is workings of, what does an LLC mean, what that structure looks like, where do you go to file, all of those things, and some other goals. Class 2, we will be discussing marketing, all right? Then class 3 is setting your price, which is very important, right? It's not just saying this is going to be $3 just because I think it is. There's actual data and numbers and figures that go behind that. So we'll be talking about that. Class 4 will be understanding those numbers. Class 5, access to capital and HR. Class 6, legal, taxes, insurance, and all of those nuances and all those, annoying things that we need to have to protect our business. And then class 7 is the milestone session and graduation. So there will be a very small mini little graduation that will be happening. This class, along with the graduation, will be good for you to ask any questions that maybe have, you might have throughout the session there. And then the other thing is once we reach class 7 and we are done with class 7, there'll be a couple weeks in between where you'll be able to work with your mentor and all of that. But then there is going to be a level 2 class or session that goes along with this one. So everything you've learned in this course, that's going to prepare you for that second level course, okay? So let's get started. So entrepreneurship, why become an entrepreneur? So like I mentioned earlier on, right? Some of these things we may have already discussed prior. That was really just to prepare you for this course. So why become an entrepreneur? You have more independence. There's more earning potential. Depending on what it is that you're wanting to do, you want to build a legacy and leave that behind, and then generational wealth. What I see a lot of is people really want the independence and they want to build some sort of generational wealth, right? And many times, the way to do that is through entrepreneurship, right? Instead of having, the typical kind of 9 to 5, which is fine, but sometimes depending on what it is that you're doing, you can achieve those through being an entrepreneur. So the types of businesses. So we have sole proprietorship. So that is just you yourself, no one else. It's just you. You haven't filed really, there's no protections, but it's just you running your business. Then there is a partnership. So that's 2 people, right? And then there is a limited liability company. So that's the LLC. So the LLC is good to file because it provides a corporate shield. So if you are currently operating your business as a sole proprietor, right, that's perfectly fine. You just have to understand that there are actually no protections there. There's nothing to shield you, right? When you have the LLC, you now have what is called the corporate shield. So if somebody was to sue you, if somebody was to, take you to court or whatever, or file a complaint, well, what happened is that corporate shield would protect all of your personal, right? So they can only really go after anything that has to do with the business, right? Not you personally. So if you are a sole proprietor, then they can, right? Because there's no protection there. So that's why it's important that no matter what it is that you're doing, you at least file for the LLC. Then there's the C Corp, right? So these are the corporation filings. Many times what will happen is if you meet with a lawyer, with a tax person or accountant, they'll try to get you to file as a C Corp. This is fine to do, right? Because there are tax benefits and all of that. However, a C Corp or filing as a corporation really is only beneficial if you're making a certain amount of money, right? So once you start amassing a certain amount of dollars coming in, then those tax benefits and all of that makes sense. If you are a small business, right, you're just starting your business, then it's actually going to be more of a negative or have a negative impact on your business than a positive one, because you're going to end up paying more potentially in taxes and kind of just be paying more overall because you're classified as this big corporation. So if you're not making, for example, money like Target or Walmart or these big corporations, it's better to file as an LLC, right? Because you'll actually get better benefits that way. Then there's your nonprofit, so 501c3. If you are a nonprofit, you obviously have opportunities for, applying for grants and those things there. And then a social enterprise. So a social enterprise, there's no way to file a social enterprise. A social enterprise is something that you just do internally. It's how you manage your business internally. So for example, think of like Tom's shoes, right? When you go buy those Tom shoes, you buy a pair and then they donate a pair, right? It's not kind of the same thing. So they're creating a social impact. Panera Bread does the same thing. So it's anything where you are impacting the community that you are in, okay? Another note, if there are two of you, right, and you are a partnership, you can still file as an LLC. It would just be now that there's two of you. So that's perfectly fine. Okay. Any questions on the types of businesses?
Does it being a partnership change the LLC at all, or is it just an acknowledgement of both partners?
It's just an acknowledgement that there are two people now within the company.
Okay.
So it doesn't change it drastically or anything. It just says there's two people that own this versus one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey Pedro, sorry to interrupt. I saw Jason was asking about an S corp. So for everyone online, a C corp is your standard corporation, an S corp is a social corporation, and a B corp is a benefit corporation. So you can file as a benefit or a social corporation. The problem with that is, just like the regular corporation, a corporation requires significant more paperwork and fees to manage and register. Corporations also, the benefit of a corporation is that you get additional tax deductions, but only when you're making a certain amount of money or have a certain amount of employees. So if you have less than 30 employees, or if you're making less than $800,000 a year, then a corporation is actually going to hurt you, like Pedro said. You don't get the big tax deductions until you're significantly raising revenue, making revenue, having employees, and then you start to benefit off of the corporation status. Corporations have to maintain a board of directors. They have to have an annual return, an annual report for their company. So if somebody does want to proceed with a corporation and you really do want to go that route, we're happy to talk to you offline about it. Just know that you can get everything you need for your small business as an LLC. It's cheaper, it's faster, and it does everything you need legally to operate the business.
Yep. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you. I'll be signing off now, everybody. You're in capable hands with Pedro. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next couple of weeks for class. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Manny.
Bye,
Thank
Manny.
you.
All right. So getting registered. So if you're, sole proprietorship, doing the LLC, doing the corporations or even the partnerships, you would do that through the Arizona Corporate Commission. So it's that website that's there. Let me put that in the chat really quick so you guys have that. So it's easily accessible. So I just put it in the chat, but you would go through the Arizona Corporate Commission, and then there's two ways that you can file. So you can file in person and paper copy, or paper and pen, you just file it. I recommend not doing that. I recommend, if you're able to, doing it online. Why? Because what happens is if you file in person and you need to make any amendments, any changes of any kind, it becomes a hassle to do so because you now have to always go in person to make those changes or make whatever filings you need to file. Whereas if you do it online and you create an account, then you always have access to it. And unless you want to, for a specific whatever reason, you don't ever have to actually go down to the ACC's office. So I recommend doing it online. And it's pretty straightforward. So you go there, then have a unique business name. There is a feature within the ACC's platform where you can search to see if your name is available. If it is not available, then you would have to obviously continue to find something that is. But if it is available, it's yours and you can use it and you can file. How much does it cost? So it is $85 to file your LLC. Please, 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 if you find that there is someone out there, and I see this happen often, that's telling you that they can file your LLC for $2,000 something or whatever it is, please don't do it. Run away, run as fast as you can, because it does not cost that much to file. It's a very straightforward process. It takes about 6 minutes to file and it costs $85. If you need some guidance on how to maneuver it or whatever, go ahead and shoot me an email and I'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through that process. But please do not pay somebody that much. Joanna, you see it all the time. It's wild. Yes, it's just crazy. Sometimes I talk with business owners and, oh, I just filed my my LLC and they were charging me $1,500, and I'm like, what? That's insane. At the most, they should charge you like $100 to file, but you really should not pay anything. It's straightforward. Member or manager managed. So this is important to know, because what happens is you might click on the wrong one, and then you may not realize that you are not even the owner of your business. So member manage versus manager manage. A manager manage is when you are just doing kind of the day-to-day managing the business through someone else. Whereas member manage is you are a member of your LLC, therefore you own your LLC. So that's a mistake that we see often as well. And many times, a year, 2 years down the road, individuals don't realize that since they filed their LLC, even though they're the ones that filed it, they are actually not even the owners of their LLC because of the way that they classify themselves. So which address can you use? You can use your home address. However, whenever you get to the statutory agent section, that becomes public. So and let me break this down into two things. So you do need to have an address, right, to put on there. It's visible. What happens is you then have a statutory agent. So for example, let's say that I chose Jason to be my statutory agent. He would be responsible for making sure that any notifications that I get from the ACC or anything like that get forwarded to me. You can, however, if you don't have anybody else to do that, you can put yourself as a statutory agent. The thing to keep in mind is that they do send an email that is time sensitive. So if you don't approve that email or view that email and follow the instructions in that email within a certain amount of time, it cancels your application and you lose out on your $85 and you have to refile again. So that's something to think about there. But you want to make sure that if you are going to be your own statutory agent, that you know that that address will be public. So people can log into the ACC, type in your business name, and see that that is your place that you've put there. Joanna. Yeah, Joanna, go ahead.
So would you use a PO box then? Is that acceptable?
So it is acceptable for, I believe, and correct, Manny, are you still there?
I think he left.
Essentially. Oh, I think he left too. I believe, because it's kind of confusing, you can use a PO box, but it's for the main address, which is fine. It's when you get to the statutory agent that you have to not use a PO box. Go ahead, Manny. Oh, yep, he agreed. Yes, correct. So the thing with that is it's kind of like a catch-22, because if you're putting yourself as a statutory agent, it's going to potentially be the same address, right? If you're not paying for a PO box or, you know, having one of those like virtual addresses or whatever. So it ends up being kind of like, well, dang, it's the same address. Now people can see my address. So you really want to think about what address you would want to put there, because it is public.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So then once you file your LLC, you're going to go ahead and file for your EIN. Now, your EIN is completely free. There is no charge. I've also seen this happen. There are people out there trying to scam you, telling you that they can file an EIN for you and it's going to cost hundreds of dollars. It is completely free and it takes 5 minutes to do. You go to the IRS website and then you can file. So 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The system is operating Monday through Friday, and you can just go ahead and get an EIN. It's going to be a lot of the same questions that you were asked when you were filing for your LLC through the Arizona Corporate Commission's site. So very similar. The wait time on them, very quick. I find that if you file for your LLC or anything through the ACC, within the week, I've seen people get their LLC approved. I've also seen people get it approved within, 24 to 48 hours. The EIN is actually very, very quick, like very quick. It's just like, here you go, here's your thing, and then they'll send you a letter. One thing to note, please make sure that you keep that letter somewhere that is safe and somewhere where you can easily access it. I found out the hard way whenever I was registering EIN a long time ago that EIN number or that that IRS letter with my information on it was very important because I needed it because I was setting up some sort of system and they asked for it and I couldn't find it, and then I had to submit a request for all that. Oh, Joanne, yeah. So it's a pain. So always save it, make copies, take a photo, but make sure that you keep all those documents that you get initially, because if not, it's a pain to get later on. So what if you have multiple companies? Well, that's perfectly fine. You file your main LLC, which is the legal company, right, at the top. And then what you do is you open up DBAs, so doing business as. So those are all of your sub-businesses that you then put under the umbrella company, right? So very easy to do. You actually file those with the, you file them as trade names with the Secretary of State. Again, very, very simple, very, very easy. That one doesn't take that long either. I have found, though, that since they've changed secretaries, they were changing their processes and procedures. So I have found that it does take a little bit longer now, but not too long. And then you basically pay at the end when you get approved, whereas the other one, like the ACC, you pay in the beginning. So if you have multiple companies, you can definitely structure them that way. And here's an example. So we have Lucero Consulting Group, which is at the top, right? So that's the registered LLC. Underneath our company name, we actually have all these other services that are under their own DBAs. So we do consulting, we have marketing, we have bookkeeping, we have merch. We've offered event services in the past because we worked with nonprofits to put on their annual galas and do the fundraisers and stuff. So all of those things were under Lucero Consulting Group. So you can structure it the same exact way. So writing a business plan. Now, we're not going to dive too deep into, writing your actual plan, but what I do recommend is that, as we're going through each slide and as we're going through each class, you take notes so that by the end of this entire session and this workshop, you'll at least have a nice amount of data or information that you can then input into an actual business plan. So all of these things that we're doing is basically walking you through how to write a business plan and what to include. So I would recommend definitely take notes, write things out, so that then when you get to that point, you just plop all that information in there and it's not so daunting to write this long business plan. So writing an effective plan. So it's good if you write an effective plan, right? And it's not just like half-assed where it's like, okay, I just wrote it, here you go. I've seen a lot of those, and those end up hurting the owner or the person who's trying to build this business more than anything else. But if you write a good plan and you take the time to really think about what you're putting in there and all of that, it can help guide your business. So if something goes south, always refer back to your business plan, because that's the guide, right? So if something doesn't work out, well, let me pull my business plan out. What does it say here that I have to do if something did not turn out the way it's supposed to? It can be used for loans and grants. If you are applying for a loan, they will ask you for a business plan, right? So if you're, hey, I need $200,000, I need $50,000, okay, I would like to see a business plan. So they are going to ask one. If you are a nonprofit, the grant applications will also ask for some sort of guide, right? That business plan, that outline. And then it serves as a foundation for your policies and procedures. So it gives a clear, it clearly defines, I should say, who is the owner, who is the vice president, who is in charge of marketing, who is, part of your team, and what does that structure actually look like, right? Who do we actually serve, right? Why are we serving this demographic or this market when our business plan is focused on this over here, right? So you can always use that as a guide so that it's not confusing if you do bring more people in. If you are in a partnership with there's two people who own the business, this is going to help alleviate a lot of the stresses that usually come up when you are in business with someone else. So this right here, I would recommend you guys take a couple notes on. So to have an effective business plan, right? These are the key sections. Your executive summary. Your executive summary talks about all the things about your business, right? I always tell people, when you submit for a loan or when you submit for a grant application, they can't see you, right? The person who's reviewing this. So you have to make sure that they understand who you are, who your business, what your business is, what you do, etc., within the first 30 seconds of them reading it, because it's on paper. So the first thing it's going to include at the top is your executive summary. Your executive summary, the very first paragraph, okay, and the executive summary will have 4 paragraphs, is an about you and your business. So my name is Pedro. I do small business consulting. I am the director of operations, so on and so forth. That you kind of want to give them a little piece of who you are, right? And what you do. So that doesn't mean I'm Pedro Alvarez and I like dogs and let me tell you about XYZ. It's really just your title, your experience, and then your business. Paragraph number 2, your market and your plans to reach them. So who is it that you're actually trying to target? Your 3rd paragraph is your financial projections. And then your 4th paragraph is your loan or funding request. So when you are asking for a loan or some sort of funding, right? Don't just say, I'm needing $50,000. Okay, well, why are you needing $50,000? I need $50,000 to do X, Y, Z. 10,000 is going to go to X. Another 10,000 is going to go to X, right? You really want to make sure that you break these things down so that they have a very clear picture with no doubt in mind that the money that you are asking for is going to these areas. Now, what I tell people is, once you have that funding, you can then redistribute those funds as you see fit, right? So if you tell them 10 is for this, 10 is for that, but you happen to say, oh, crap, something happened and I need to move this money over here, you can do that. Then the other sections are going to be your market research, your marketing plan, and your financial plan. So the top section, which is the executive summary, is an overview, right? A lot of this is going to be repetitive as you're writing it in the business plan, but the top is your overview. When you get to your market research, your marketing plan, your financial plan, that's when you really start to dive further into the nitty-gritty. Jason, financial projections. What do you? Yes. So then, you know, for example, for the financial plan, that's where you're basically going to explain to them, this is how I'm going to pay this back. This is where the money is going to go, right? It's basically this massive roadmap. Okay. Any questions?
Basically, you want to tell them how you're going to pay them back.
Yes, they want to see that you're able to give them their money back. All right, setting goals. This is important. So when you are thinking of the business, when you're thinking of how much money you need, when you're thinking of where you want to go, left, right, up, down, whatever it is, you really want to identify what personal and business goals you have. Because when you do that, then you can separate the two and just, again, have a clear picture of, okay, well, my personal goal is this, my business goal is this. I can do both of these by doing XYZ, or I can't actually do both of these and I have to go here and there, right? So really identifying what that is. Knowing your starting point and what you will need. It can be very overwhelming. Very overwhelming when you're starting. You're like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, there's so much happening, but really just narrowing it down, right? If you need I don't know, if you need a food truck, for example, that's overwhelming, but let's start by finding out how much a food truck costs first, right? And then we kind of move on to the next one and the next thing. Define what success looks like for you and your business. We talked about this. I brought this up when we met last time. Success is different for everybody, all right? Some people, it means that they are going to go ahead and have, you know, $100,000. They're going to make $100,000. Some people, it means that they're going to be able to grow their team, you know, to a team of 5. Some people means that they're going to be able to just take more time off. Success is different for everyone. And so just make sure that when you're looking at other businesses or your competitors, that you don't compare yourself too much to whatever they're doing, because whatever success is for them is completely different than for you, or it should be. The other thing is to use SMART goals. I'm not sure if everybody here is familiar with SMART, but we're going to talk about it here in a second. But using SMART is, yeah. So when you're really looking at your goals, right, there is a process to that. Each one of these types of goals feeds into the other. Oh, go ahead, Cindy.
Is this specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So, right, each one of these goals, which is a type, they all feed into each other. So if you have an outcome, right, so it's kind of like the overall, in order to get that overall, you need to have a performance goal, right? So a performance goal is personal success growth you set. So what is it that I'm actually going to do to get to my outcome? And then you have the process goals. So that's setting the actions or the processes that you are going to then perform, which will then lead you to the overall. Okay, are we all on the same page with that? Okay, cool. So here are some examples, right? So if my outcome is to own my own business, then my performance goal is understanding what I need to run that business. And then the actions, right, the process is attending, for example, weekly business classes with Pedro, right? So you attend weekly business classes with me, right? Then you now have an understanding of what it is that you need. And now you can own your own business, right? So that's a simple one there. The other example here is, if your goal is to own a business truck for your business, then your performance goal is finding a lender and securing that business loan, right? But then the process to that is preparing your business loan application, okay? And that's how you get to the business truck, okay? So yes, here is SMART, which Cindy mentioned. It's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So if you have not heard of this, I really like SMART because it really helps in terms of kind of staying the course. So S is for specific. So you want to be clear. You want to be very spot on with what your goals are, right? So if your goal is to make 50,000, then that's as specific as you're going to be. 50,000 it is. Make sure that it's measurable, right? Make sure that it can actually be tracked. Is there a way that you're tracking, that you're either saving up for something or that you're able to see kind of that growth? If not, then we need to go back to the drawing board to make sure that we can track that, right? Because it's what may happen is you may think, oh, I'm near my goal, and then you actually go check and you're not. Or you might think, I'm not near my goal, and you actually are, and you're doing more work than you need to. Make sure that it's actionable. So are you able to take action to achieve that, right? Realistic. So we want to make sure that this is something that isn't overwhelming. So if we say, I want to make 50,000 within the next 2 months, is that actually a realistic goal? I want to make 100,000 within the next 6 months. Is that actually a realistic goal? Now, it may be, but it may not. What I would suggest is setting realistic goals, such as, for example, let's say you're saving up to buy equipment, and it's going to cost you $2,000, right? Well, instead of saying, well, I don't have 2,000 and I can't start anything because I don't have 2,000. Well, what you would want to do is say, well, my goal is to save $100 first, right? To see if I can even do that. Save $100. Once you reach that $100, you then move that up and you say, okay, well, now my new goal is to save $250. Okay, you got to $250, and so on and so forth, right? You can also do it in any sort of increments, but doing it to where it's manageable and not overwhelming, because once you hit, let's say, that $500 goal, if that was your goal, it's more rewarding than saying, wow, my goal is $2,000, but I've only have $500. Wow, like I have a long way to go, right? So you want to just break those goals and make them, not small, but make them attainable to you and what feels comfortable to where you're not feeling overwhelmed. Time bound. Make sure you set a date, right? So let's not do, okay, well, by this time next year, I hope to have XYZ. No, let's say, you know what? By the end of, what are we in May? By the end of May, I will have filed my LLC. And by the summer, I would have done XYZ, right? So setting those actual dates to help you stay accountable and kind of keep you on track. I think Cindy said something here. Well, let's see. Close to 1 million a year, selling $50 products every day. Okay, is that your goal? Or is that what you're doing right now?
I wish it was what I was doing right now, but that's the goal.
Okay, so if that's the goal, right, of a million, what was it? A million?
It's 912,500.
Okay, 912. So we'll just say a million. So if we say a million, right, you want to make sure that when you're thinking of these numbers, is that something that is going to be overwhelming to think about, right? It may not be. Some people it may be, right? When you sit and you're like, wow, that's like a big number. I got to do all these things, etc. You can still have that as your goal, but what you would want to do is, if it is a number that's overwhelming for you, is break that down into maybe quarters, right? And so now you say, okay, well, quarter one, I'm looking to hit X number, quarter two, X number. And so now it doesn't seem so daunting that you now have this $1 million number over your head and you're like, dang, what the heck, right? Now you can be like, okay, well, at least I hit my quarter one, at least I hit my quarter two, or whatever it is. Yes, Cindy, go ahead.
That's why I broke it down to 50 items at $50 a piece. Comes
Yeah.
to $912,500 a year.
Yeah, there you go, right? That's an easier thing to digest, to say,
50 times 50.
yeah, I got to sell $50, right? So on and so forth. You know, whatever, by whatever day, right? Let's just use the week as an example.
Sure.
There's 7 days in a week. I'm selling $50, XYZ. That seems to be like more easier to digest, to say, okay, well, I got to sell $50. I got to sell $50. I got to sell whatever, than saying I have to sell $1 million by the end of the year, right? That's like insane.
Yeah, that's too big of a bite.
Yeah, but if we break it down, it's like, okay. And then what happens is if you don't sell those $50, for example, right? You still have, let's say, the rest of the quarter to figure out, how am I going to make that up? So again, it's not so defeating to say, well, I didn't hit that, you know, today. Well, what the heck am I going to do? Well, no, it's fine. You still have tomorrow, because you've broken it up. So if you didn't sell 50 today, well, then maybe you increase your efforts to, you know what I mean? So just make sure it's realistic and time bound.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions, guys, on SMART goals or anything that we've discussed so far? Nope. All righty. So, goal setting tips. Write them down. Okay. Many times we think of, okay, we're going to do this and, you know, I'm going to get there and that's my goal and I'm feeling motivated. But what happens is there are days, including myself, where we don't feel motivated and we don't feel like we have that energy to kind of, you know, keep going. So when you write them down, they're written down, and then you can kind of pull them. If you have them somewhere where you can see them, you kind of glance over, you're like, oh, that was my goal. Let me push through. That's why I'm doing XYZ, right? That's the motivation. So write them down. Work with a mentor, right? So work with somebody that can definitely help you. And I believe you guys have mentors, if I'm not mistaken. So work with your mentors, ask them, you know, to kind of questions or whatever it is that you may have, so that you guys can really set those goals. Because sometimes we may think that the goal that we think we want is actually not the goal that we actually end up needing, right? So making sure that you're kind of unraveling that. Reevaluate and update your progress. So if you hit goal number 1, great. I hit goal number 1. Now let's move on to goal number 2. Now, if you have goal 1 and 2 and 3, and something happened along the way where you didn't hit that goal number 1, well, really think about, why didn't you hit that goal number 1? Was that the goal that you needed to hit? Was that even necessary? No. So maybe we don't do that, right? So reevaluate and update your progress. And celebrate along the way. We forget to do this. We're just so caught up in the rush of like, okay, we need to do XYZ, we need to win, we need to do this, blah, blah, blah. We forget that when something good comes our way, we need to take a moment to celebrate it. Now, to celebrate, that could mean many different things for everybody. But for example, whenever I get something, you know, a win, or I get nominated for something, even if I don't win it, or just anything, I celebrate it. I may go out and do something as simple as like, I go get Zoyo, right? And I go wild with toppings, like, ooh, okay, right? Like, I'm like, all right, like, I'm excited, like, putting toppings. So it's whatever makes you feel good, to where you're like, I can celebrate this, right? So always celebrate that, because if you don't, chances are somebody else won't. And so you have to keep yourself saying, I'm doing this on my own, right? Like I'm the one in and day out doing this. So yeah, celebrate it. So next steps. So you're going to meet with your mentor. So set goals for the next 6 weeks that we are actually going to have together. File for your LLC if you have not, okay? Or at least look into it, open it up, get familiar with the process. If you have any questions, you can always email me, of course. File for your EIN as well. Do you guys have the link of where you guys can go file for your EIN or no? Yes? Some of you say yes, some of you say no. I'm going to put it here in the chat for you. Give me 1 second. I'm just pulling that up. I had my bank help me when I opened my account. Links are in the course. Oh, yes. Thank you. So yeah, so the links will be in the thing with the course. Perfect. Thank you for that. Think of your brand. So your company name, your logo, your website, your social media, everything that has to do with your business relating to your brand, right? Your colors, all of that. Think about what that will look like. You can even get down to the packaging and the lines and all of that, right? Really get creative and think about what will your brand look like. This is an area that I see a lot of people rush because they're like, oh, well, this looks great and, we're good. No, take some time and really, think about it. An example I always use is Lucero Consulting. We used to have and Manny's not here, he'd probably kill me, but we used to have the most hideous logo. I did not care for it, but he came up with the logo. And so, of course, I was like, this is great. And so, 2 years later, I really sat down and said, hey, this is not great, right? So really think about it because your brand is going to definitely change throughout time. We've actually changed our logo 3 times. The first time was a drastic change. The second one is very similar to the one that we have now. We just made the colors darker, right? But definitely think about what you want people to feel when they look at that. And then connect with each other on social media. Share your handles if you haven't already in the chat so that everybody can have those handles. It's important. I always stress this every time I do a workshop and I tell people to share their social media if they have one. Why? Because someone in this group may have a service that they can either provide to you or vice versa. And if they don't, they may know someone who could benefit from your service, right? So I may not currently need window cleaning, but I may know somebody who I come across who may, right? So it's those reasons why we want to make sure that we share those handles. Again, this is the course agenda as a reminder, right? This is what we will be talking about next, marketing. And so with that, I am done. So I leave you guys, leave the floor open. If you guys have any questions. Oh, Nathan, it looks like you raised your hand. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you would be open to reviewing business plans for us.
So that would be, I don't think that would be a problem, but I would definitely have to check with Manny since he's typically the one that manages the kind of all of this.
Of course.
But yeah, I will definitely inquire about that for you.
I'd appreciate it. I'd love some feedback on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else with any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Cindy.
So Pedro, do you typically
Oh, you
review
froze.
business plans or help write business plans?
So me personally, yes. So
No,
within, yeah. So
within
Lucero,
Lucero.
yeah, yep, correct. So Lucero Consulting does provide that. We do business plan writing and reviewing and all of that. So whenever we have clients that come to us are like, hey, we just had one where she was actually presenting to a big chain grocery store for her product. And she said, I need a pitch deck and I need a business plan. So we actually, worked on her on that business plan to make sure that it hit all the things that she needed for the investors and all of that. So yes, that is something that we do.
So what is your fee? What is your fee?
So for that, we can send that over to you guys. Typically for a business plan, it's $125 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That may be something we can request in our Go Scholarship.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Karen.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that you can request in your Go Scholarship. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, Cindy, that was a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That's because I had a few extra dollars to spend.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. So, I don't know if Pedro knows what the goals. Pedro, you're aware of what the Go Scholarships are, aren't you?
Potentially, is that with ASBA, right, where they write the thing and
Yeah, so they can get up to $1,500 twice, so $3,000 in total, and it has to go towards something in their business.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having you help write their business plan would be fantastic. Especially because business plans are they're difficult to write.
they are difficult to write. I mean, they can be difficult to write. I've seen a lot of people turn to AI to write them. I definitely would not go that route just because it comes up with some very weird jargon.
Yeah.
And then what happens is yes, you get content from them and it may be good, but what happens is you have to read through
Everything.
a bunch. Yeah. So it just becomes like, I should have just written this myself. And you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely would say that would be good.
Yeah,
a
so
good spend.
maybe so Nathan, there is no deadline. The deadline would be September. So you have plenty of time. And then again, you can apply twice. In Pedro, and I don't know if Manny's still on, but maybe in my follow-up, I'll share your information as to how they can either set time or schedule, or you can give me pricing that they can schedule with you to help write that business plan if anybody's interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And to Karen's point, even if it's just an introductory, like you want to run a couple things past us, we're perfectly fine doing that as well, right? A 30-minute session, if it's not, something that you're like, hey, review this, but you're like, hey, I just have a couple of ideas or a couple of things I want to run by you. That's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah.
And can
Yeah,
you
you're
use the
welcome.
scholarship for contractors license test?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Perfect.
And
sponsors?
Rafe, I heard you talking about, I don't know if this applies and I'm being nosy, but I heard you talking about that you wanted to buy some tools or a belt. Something like that would also apply.
Yeah, I kind of figured that as it would be growth of the business.
Yeah.
And so George is actually my housemate. Like we live in the same house. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, he's actually gonna help me assist doing that appropriately because I know he applied and already got approved.
Yeah. It's really great. I don't know if you've ever worked with St. Joseph's The Worker. I think
Yes,
it's-
actually I have.
Oh, yeah. They give out a bunch of stuff too. They're one of our partners.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of partners for everybody on the call. So if you guys ever need any resources, I know that we've stressed this a lot, but we've worked really hard to get as many partners and resources as possible for you guys. So if you ever I wonder if they know somebody, we do. And so we can make that introduction and send you guys over. So just know that that's always a possibility too. George, did you have a question? I thought you raised your
I'm
hand.
good. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, of course.
Just talking about you, Doug.
He showed up.
Oh, I heard you. I made it.
I know. Welcome. I saw you jump on. I marked you
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to ask Pedro?
JC raised his hand. Go ahead.
Hey, Pedro, how you doing? Question for you. I know that in this last course, I could find all those links for the LLC, the EIN, and all the other documents you need, and I can apply for all of them separately. I know places like LegalZoom have different bundles where they offer, your forms and other items like that. In your opinion, can you get the same quality by going separate to each area and save some money, or do you think that those bundles with LegalZoom can actually be worthwhile?
JC, that is a very, very good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I am very much so anti LegalZoom. LegalZoom, they get whatever work it is done, right? But I find, especially with the clients that I've helped in the past, that you end up spending more even with a bundle than just doing it yourself many times. And also what happens is you don't really know who that person is, right? So you kind of just send them the stuff, they file, they do all these things for you. And what ends up happening is sometimes the things get filed incorrectly. And when it gets filed incorrectly, a letter is off or the number is off or whatever it is that's off, it just becomes a hassle for you to then fix later on. I had a client who had used a LegalZoom, and this was many moons ago, and I was helping her through the women certification process, which is through the WBENC to be women certified. She had to provide a bunch of documents, and there were issues and discrepancies with her filing. And so we had to go back, and she had to spend additional dollars to correct everything. So what I would recommend, like Karen mentioned, there are a lot of resources and things that they have put together for you. If you're able to work with, someone like myself or someone within, the ASBA team, or we can walk you through it, I would say that would be better. And then you can use those funds on something else that could be more beneficial. I know a couple people gasped when I said no LegalZoom, but that's just the honest feedback. I think you could use those dollars elsewhere.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I agree.
Anyone
You
else?
guys have all those resources. We put them in your syllabus. So you guys have all the individual resources. So I think if you have any questions, you can either go to Pedro or Manny or just ask your mentor also. So Pedro, I think great advice. I always say, like, they are, but like these types of things, they are a business, and they're there to make money,
Yeah. Then that's kind of that's a perfect way to put it, Karen. They are a business. It's not that they're bad or anything. It's just they're a business, and so they have to meet, their numbers, and you're probably not going to get the same level of like, hi, JC, I'm Pedro. Like, let's chat, and what are you doing? And let's file this for you, right? So.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up. So a few things. Keep on checking the syllabus. I will send out a recap email. All of your goals and tasks are in your relationship within the mentoring platform. Keep on meeting with your mentors. Log your sessions. If you don't know how to log your sessions, I made like a tutorial. I sent some to the mentors, so let me know if you want me to send it to you as well. I don't expect you to like log your session, but just like once a week, once a month, something like that. Just make sure that you're logging your sessions. And then next Thursday, we will be meeting same bat time, same bat place. Are you going to be hosting again, Pedro?
Yes, I will be hosting next week, and then I think the week after, and then sadly, I will depart, and you will have Manny.
Okay. Well, we might see you back again.
I'm sure you will.
Okay. And if you need anything, I'm always here for you. You can email me. You can reach me in the platform, anything like that. I'm always here as well. Okay. So have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much, Pedro.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Pedro.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night, everyone.
Pedro. Everyone
Thank
have
you,
a great weekend.
Pedro.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the
Bye,
information.
Karen. Thank you.
Bye. Sorry about the
Karen, thank you so
technical
Bye,
much.
Karen.
Bye.
Okay.
I'm just glad I was able to get here.
I know. It's so weird.
Hi, Dylan. See you later.
Technology.
George, see you, bud.
Hey, Karen,
Yeah.
when we're logging our meetings with our mentor, that